Welcome to the Even Better podcast, where your host, Sinikka Waugh of Your Clear Next Step, brings you exciting content about making communities better by helping people get even better at work.
Today's episode is brought to you by Your Clear Next Step in the Changemaker Certification Program.
Would you like to save time by solving the right problem sooner with a realistic and measurable plan? Reduce overwhelm by finding more sustainably productive ways to work? Improve employee morale by creating more positive workdays from within? Stay competitive by tightening your turn or increasing your agility in adapting to changing customer demands? If you said yes to those things, then we have the solution for you.
Interested in becoming a changemaker? Give us a call at 515-442-0545.
Hello, friends, and thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Even Better podcast. This is Sinikka Waugh, and I am so delighted to spend a few minutes with you. I am honored that you would join us for a few minutes, join me for a few minutes of this podcast and in your effort to make your day even better. That is the mission of Your Clear Next Step, to help us all have even better work days so that together we can co-create better communities. And this episode, this podcast is part of that mission, and this episode is part of that mission. Sometimes I do solo podcasts, and a lot of times, most of the time, I think we have guests on here, but every once in a while, I'll stop and I'll do just an episode by myself. And today I'm thinking about a topic in particular that is near and dear to my heart. Of course, it's in the alignment of conversations and communication, because that comes up so often, and creating great workspaces, working together and how we collaborate and coexist and co-create greatness together. That, of course, is going to be part of it. But so much of what we do here at Your Clear Next Step is about returning business value, right? We have to, when we are at work and we're co-creating work days, the truth of the matter is that our work days have to also be effective for our workplaces. And I'll admit that in some cases, there will be pushback here. There are some people in my network and in my inner circle and my outer circle and my outer circle. There are people who are fed up with their workplaces. There are some leaders in the workspaces who have not been diligent enough. There are organizations at large, faceless, nameless organizations who have not been careful enough with the people, the precious resources that are the people in our organizations. So much, to such a great extent that now the people who are part of those organizations, when they think of my exhortation to take good care of our businesses, look at me and say, yeah, but I don't care anymore. That doesn't matter to me, Sinikka, because my business, my organization hasn't taken care of me. And this is heartbreaking to me. This is unacceptable to me. This is one of those things that is devastating to me as a business owner, as someone who coexists in the space where we have to work. I know a couple of years ago, and there's another video on my website about quiet quitting and my response to quiet quitting not long ago. It's been a couple of years now, but my response to quiet quitting and the exhortation to those of us in positions of leadership to do better so that the people in our care don't have to feel compelled to quiet quit. But we are, in fact, in a space right now where there are plenty of employees who feel like leadership at large, or employees, organizations rather, don't care enough about the employees for the employees to care back about the organizations. And that's pathetic. That's abysmal. That's horrific that we would have gotten to such a space. And so I ask us to stop for a second. I ask us to stop and say, if you are in a position of leadership and you recognize that the people immediately in your care have checked out, stop and let's fix it. If you are in a position of organizational leadership and you have any ability to effect change in your organization, let's do that. Reach out to me. Let's fix it, because the people in our care deserve so much better. And then let's set that aside for a second, because part of why we need to care in our organizations and for the people in our organizations is that wherever we find ourselves within the organization is if we are working within the organization, we are contributing to the bottom line of that organization. And the organization cannot succeed. Businesses don't run themselves. Businesses run themselves only in that the people within them co-create the greatness that is there. So if the bottom line is getting worse, it is because the people within that organization are not co-creating greatness. And the people within that organization can co-create greatness when the people themselves are feeling like they are invested in when the people within that organization feel like someone cares, like someone gives a crap, like someone authentically and genuinely cares that they matter, that they belong, that they are there. And a microcosm where that can show up is in meetings. So I'm gonna shush about the larger picture for a second because then we have greater work to do. And if you want to spend some time with me on that greater work, let's spend some time on that greater work and let's revisit that. But let's pause for a second and let's jump into meetings because meetings are a great microcosm of where we can make a positive difference in whatever role, wherever we're sitting. So let's look at meetings. And meetings are a great microcosm. We can run a meeting just like we run a project. And when we look at a meeting, how we can co-create greatness in that meeting and how we can make success of that meeting and how we can all contribute to the success of that meeting, whether you're running it or whether you're a part of it. And if you are running it, how you can create a sense of care for everyone who is part of that. And if you are contributing to it in any way, how you can show up like you care. So here's a quick way to run a meeting as if you care. So when I'm running a meeting or contributing to or participating in a meeting, let's run it like a meeting, which means we're going to ask 3 questions. What are we doing and why are we doing it? So what is this meeting? What's the goal of this meeting? What's the outcome of this meeting? What's the purpose of this meeting? What is this meeting and why are we having it? How are we going to get there? Is our second question. How are we going to get from where we're starting this meeting until done? So let's look at the people, the time, and the resources to get from the beginning of this meeting to done at this meeting. And then what are the risks? What could go wrong as part of this meeting? And what are we going to do about it? These are the same 3 questions that I ask for any project, by the way, and we can pursue those in a project standpoint as well. So what are we doing and why are we doing it? How are we going to get there? People, time, and resources. And what could go wrong and what are we going to do about it? So every meeting ought to have a meeting purpose, a meeting. Why are we doing this? What is our objective? What is our outcome? And a personal bias is that if our meeting is to discuss, let's do that over lunch. Let's do that over beers. Let's do that over coffee. Let's not do that in a meeting because gosh, if the meeting is to discuss, how on earth are we ever going to know we're done? So let's give it an action verb, but maybe that action isn't to discuss. Maybe it's to decide, to determine, to reach an outcome, to vote, um, to present. But if all we're going to do is to discuss, we may discuss ad nauseum. We'll never know when we're done. So what are we doing and why? How are we going to get there? People, time, and money. Let's make sure we've got all and only the right people. Let's make sure we've got enough time to accomplish this, but not too much. Not every meeting has to be an hour. Let's figure out what's the right amount of time, all and only the right people and the right amount of time. And then the resources that we're going to need. Are we going to need space? Are we going to need technology? Are we going to need the tools and resources to get us through this conversation? And then what could go wrong? What is what are the risks for the people conflicts or the tool conflicts or the interruption conflicts? What are the potential things that could derail us? The information that we won't have at our fingertips, the things that could go wrong in this meeting because of the people involved or without the people involved or because of the topic at hand, what could go wrong? If we ask those 3 questions before we start a meeting, we have a way better, way better chance of being successful. So as an individual participant, if I'm showing up at a meeting and I'm already coming in with the bias, this meeting is a waste of my time, that can be overcome if I understand what are we doing and why are we doing it? And how am I as an individual? What's my role in this? How am I one of the people that's contributing? And if I feel like I matter, man, my level of engagement is going to be higher. And if I feel like we're only going to be meeting for as long as necessary to accomplish that goal, maybe I'm more willing to shut down my computer. Maybe I'm more willing to fully engage. If I'm one of those participants who's like, well, I'm going to actively disengage because Joe over here, he's actively disengaged, and Stephanie, she's not going to participate. Well, if I know already what we're doing and why we're doing it, and that it needs all of us. And we're only going to be meeting for the required amount of time, and all of us are going to engage. Maybe, just maybe, I've already been willing to shut down my laptop, to turn off my phone, to actively engage in this meeting because Joe is going to and Stephanie's going to. And we've already anticipated how we're going to engage in this moment. And you've already invited us as the meeting participant or the meeting facilitator. You've already invited us to engage fully in this moment without all of those distractions. So I believe firmly that each one of us has the accountability and the ability. So we have the ability to co-create greatness around us, and we have the accountability to do that. If we create that as one of our meeting norms, that we each have the accountability and the ability to co-create greatness around us. So we can and we should co-create greatness around us. If we make that a meeting norm, if we make that a norm for our conversations, then it is normal that we turn our screens on. It is normal that we turn our phones off. It is normal that we engage and we don't do other stuff. It is normal that we voice our concerns and don't keep them quiet till after the meeting. It is normal that we speak up when we have a concern. It is normal that we play nice in the sandbox, but that we be honest and candid if something is going wrong. That is normal. It is also normal to understand that the world does not revolve around us. So we need to do our homework and come prepared so as not to waste everyone else's time. It is normal that we look around and say, oh, look, there are other people in this room, not just me. So I don't need to go on and on and on and on and on with a long drawn out story that nobody else cares about because it's better suited for a social hour than a meeting that we're trying to accomplish in 18 minutes. Maybe it's better that I look around and engage with, hey, what is the purpose of this meeting? What are we trying to accomplish? And that I don't bring in sidebar conversations that are not relevant to this moment. They might be funny and engaging and fun for building relationship at a different moment. But if this moment we're trying to accomplish something short and specific and trying to engage in this moment, maybe it's up to me to say, hey, I can participate and I can co create greatness by biting my tongue at that moment, by not doing extra stuff. Look at all these people here, and they're not like me. Maybe I can add a little bit of levity, but maybe I don't have to add 7 minutes of levity in a 15-minute meeting. Look at all these people here. Isn't that great? They're not like me. Isn't that great? You've heard me say this. If you've been in any of my trainings about emotional intelligence, you've heard me say this lately. I look around. This is social awareness, right? I look around and I see, look at all these people here, and they're not like me. Isn't that great? This is one of the most wonderful things, one of the most wonderful things about emotional intelligence and other awareness is when I look around and I see these other people. And when I'm in a meeting, when I'm in a conversation that we've gotten together to accomplish something else, and I can set myself aside and I can say, hey, well, under a social circumstance or under another circumstance, I might want to behave in a different way, but I can manage me. I can self-manage me in this moment because the world doesn't have to revolve around me. And I'm not 100% sure that I'm 100% right in these moments. I am partially sure that I bring something to the table and I can contribute my something, but I don't have to dominate the scenario. I don't have to bring everything to the table and be the only one who speaks, or I don't have to have my way all the time. I can contribute a little. And I can turn to the person next to me and say, what are you contributing? And I can turn to the person next to them and make sure that they are contributing. And I can look around and make sure that we are all feeling like we are contributing and valuing. And in that moment, when I can set myself aside and make sure that everyone has a chance to contribute and co-create greatness, it turns out I can create this microcosm that lets us demonstrate at a larger level what great organizations look like, where we have psychological safety, where we have the ability to each one of us be valued for who we are and what we contribute, and where we have just demonstrated what good project management looks like. What are we doing and why are we doing it? And how are we going to get there? People, time, and money, people, time, and resources, and what could go wrong? And what am I going to do about it? I invite you, as you think about this, going into your next meeting from whatever seat you're sitting in. I have recently been in conversations, recently been in a good meeting, a phenomenal meeting that had just a little bit of time to prepare and that responded really, really well. We had a very little bit of time, and it was a great opportunity where the meeting facilitator said, here's what we're trying to accomplish. Here is why we need to talk about this right now. Looking around the room, here are the people involved in this and how much time we have to have this conversation. Here's what I'm worried about. And they facilitated the meeting and got us through really, really successfully. I also saw a tough meeting where the facilitator tried to bring people together and it was bumpy. A clear understanding of why we were doing what we were doing was not clear. And it was not made. It was here we're bringing people together, but there were people who were disengaged in the moment. They didn't show up. They didn't participate. They didn't own what they needed to own. And it made it bumpy. And as the group dispersed, while there were some people that were able to walk away with a clear understanding of what they were supposed to do, there were others that left frustrated because they felt like they were stepped on a little bit. And they felt like they were devalued because some people in the room simply didn't step up and step in to that conversation and be part of co-creating greatness. In another meeting I was in, I watched people on screen and off screen and people disengaging and not engaging and not willing to lean in because there wasn't a group norm saying, hey, let's all participate, let's all engage. So I'm going to invite us to really think about how we can use meeting norms and the simple idea of a meeting. What are we doing and why are we doing it? Invite us to start every meeting that way. What are we doing and why are we here? How are we going to get there? People, do we have the right people? How much time do we have? And do we have the resources we need? And then what could go wrong? And what are we going to do about it? At the beginning of every meeting, take a minute or less at the beginning of every meeting to hammer those things out and see if it doesn't make your meetings just a little bit better, which then can serve as a microcosm that then you can elevate that, repeat that behavior to make your organizations even better from there. Let me know how it works out for you because, man, I have seen it play out time and time again to be so successful. I hope these tips have been useful for you. I'd love to hear how they work out for you. And I hope that this is part of making your day even better. Thanks so much for listening. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. And on behalf of all of us here at Your Clear Next Step, we hope the rest of your day is even better.
Thank you for tuning in today. The Even Better podcast will be back with more content soon. But in the meantime, subscribe to our podcast or check out our website at yourclearnextstep.com for more information. See you next episode.